新加坡政府对待媒体的手段和我国有很多相似之处。首先，该国媒体的拥有权高度集中。新加坡最主要的两个媒体集团，一个控制了该国所有的免费电视台频道，另一个则控制了国内所有的主要报章。而这两个集团都由新加坡政府投资臂膀淡马锡控股直接或间接地持有股份。新加坡的媒体也受各种法令的严厉管制，包括报纸及印刷出版法令、煽动叛乱治罪法令、内部安全法令、出版及情报保护条例等。目前在我国北方大学任教的新加坡媒体学者，曾经也是新加坡反对党工人党候选人的詹姆斯·戈麦斯就表示，新加坡政府多年来对媒体的监管，已经使该国的新闻从业员习惯了自我审查。
Mainstream media also doesn't have enough column space or broadcast time to discuss all the issues, and this is where the notion of, selective agenda setting or self-censorship comes in. You have the mainstream media news editors deciding what is newsworthy. So they will prioritize, certain types of news as being, more newsworthy. But that's from their point of view. It may not reflect what citizens or people want to hear. So you really have a space where other avenues for generating news is needed. And I think this need has been filled up by citizens, by alternative media initiative, and discussing about wealth disparity, loss of jobs, all part of the different agendas of news put up by alternative media.
说起新加坡的非主流媒体，网络公民 The Online Citizen 算是比较有影响力的。这个网站成立于2006年，几年下来累积了不少的粉丝。不过，该网站副总编辑李贵豪表示，在当地经营独立媒体一点也不容易。
We struggle constantly, and I think TOC is not the only story that the fact that we have survived for more than coming to 7 years, and I think it makes a very broad, a very strong statement about how essentially it has really been a lot of effort. Other blogs will tell you as well, they come up against a wall every time they try to get funding. Chiefly, I mentioned about since 2006, how is it that there's been a lot of effort to discredit the online community, and that has also taken root in how potential sponsors want to see themselves associated with us, and it causes issue. Of course, for TOC, we have a special case. We are gazetted as a political website, which means to say that we can't get foreign funding. So, essentially that makes things a little bit difficult, and we also have to declare once donations reach a certain value.
目前，网络公民并没有正式的办公室，也只有一名受薪记者，但是仍然能够维持每天不停更新。依靠的就是志愿者的全情投入，以及网民主动提供消息。
Everything is done pretty much online. Phone calls, for instance, the protests. TOC played a great part in it as well. That was actually a good example where everything was actually done online. So we organized things online. It was almost like a live feed interacting, and during things like the protests as well as the general elections, which TOC covered. In fact, the two general elections since, as well as the presidential elections. So a lot of online buyers, when people are like staying online just to get information. Okay, which party is going to which is having what rally at whichever location, and people just chipping in. So it's a very dynamic kind of thing.
一家猎人头公司最新推出的报告指出，我国劳动市场中超过1半的员工有意在未来1年里到新加坡去找工作。这在某种程度上显示，大马国人认为新加坡繁荣富裕是一个理想的国度。但对新加坡人来说，该国精英主义当道，一味追求经济发展，荣景背后还有许多议题是主流媒体不愿讨论的。
Every time someone Malaysian realizes I'm from Singapore, the first comment I get is, "Oh, that is Singapore, yeah, Singapore maju." But that's just an image, and I think that's the success of the Singapore Media Inc. being able to project such an image outside of Singapore. But I think those living in Singapore do realize whatever success or veneer of success that is outside doesn't necessarily reflect their own pockets. So, I think if you want to, gauge success of Singaporeans, I think you really need to go to the ground and ask average Singaporeans how much debt they are in and how much they have in their pocket, and that's the real picture that people want to hear.
新加坡政府最近推出要在2030年将外来移民人口增加到50%的人口政策白皮书计划，引来人民在网上极大的反弹。李贵豪说，这个例子就证明了新加坡需要有足够的言论空间来讨论政府的政策。
After a while, I guess people are not just interested in the bread and butter issues. Very clear case would be something like the white paper protest. That was very clearly started off as people taking a look at how is it affecting them directly. But bearing in mind that 2030, a lot of us won't be around anymore. But what does it mean for our children or children's children? What does it mean to be a Singaporean? What's the legacy that we want to leave behind? And I think people are feeling that sense that there's got to be a little bit more than just economic benefits to things. We've come to a stage where we realize that, hey, this can't go on. We have to do something about what we feel is affecting us and affecting our children.
也许是意识到网络对该国政权的挑战越来越大，今年5月，新加坡政府出台了管制网络媒体的政策，规定所有阅读者量超过5万人的网站必须重新申请执照，以及每年更新。虽然目前这项政策只适用于当地的10家网站，并不涉及任何新加坡独立媒体，但却足以让许多社运分子扯起警戒红旗。
I think the operative word you want to look at here is yet. It has not affected anything but these 10 websites yet. It is important to note that because how the legislation has been crafted is such that potentially it cannot be applied to any site like TOC or TRE or public house further down the line. And we find that quite concerning because that's not how legislation should really be. It should be clear. It should be demarcated very clearly who it applies to and who it shouldn't. Now, you have a lot of our ministerial level people as well as from MBA issuing statements to essentially say, oh, TOC don't have to worry, you don't fall within our criteria. But they never say that we will not fall within that criteria perpetually. So to us, it's a great deal of uncertainty. When are you going to drop the axe on us?
It does tend to stifle initiatives that may want to take a more commercial approach. Because if the environment is not free, right, people don't take risks. The minute you put certain kind of, gates or yardsticks, and people get anxious, and I think this is why a commercial approach, an independent commercial approach, even a semi-commercial approach to alternative media development, online media development, has been rather slow in the making compared to Singapore, and I don't see it changing very much.
其实，新加坡的媒体发展和该国的政治气氛是密不可分的。和我国一样，在过去几年里，新加坡国内要求改革的声浪不停地高涨。比如说，在2011年的时候，该国的执政党人民行动党在选举当中就获得了史上最低的得票率，只有60%。这和在10年前，也就是2001年的时候，提名日当天，执政党就直接可以因为对手竞选不足而宣布选举胜利，已经是完全不可相比的。面对这样国内不停沸腾的民意，新加坡政府是表示愿意聆听。只不过最新出台的管制网络的条例，却又显示了这场民间和大家长式政府之间的博弈还会持续一段日子。感谢您的收看，我是谭新浩，我们再会。